Really excited to welcome Sophie Samways to our next and final presentation for this morning. She's from a company called Vivi, and they're really interesting in kind of from a technical perspective about how you can kind of deliver different types of resource across your organizations, but also, looking at how you can different ways you can use our BLC resources and present those in different ways. So, Sophie, over to you. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for hanging on, everybody. I appreciate it. So, yeah, I'm Sophie from Vivi. I'm going to take you through some bits today, but before I go a lot smaller on the screen and I share, I just want to show you our little bit of hardware here. So this is what we call a Vivi box. This is all included in everything that I'm going to speak about as we go forward, and it really easily connects to any sort of telly, projector, interactive whiteboard via HDMI. We work on Wi-Fi and we work on PoE as well. So just so you can see that a little bit bigger before I share my screen. So here we go. Let me know. I'm a Zoom girl, so normally a bit different to Teams. So let me know if that's sharing okay.
Perfect, Sophie. Yeah,
Perfect.
thank you.
So yes, just a little bit about Vivi overall. So we are an Australian edtech company, and we launched Vivi about 10 years ago in Australia, and then about 5-6 years ago in the US, and then we've been over here in the UK for the last sort of 3 years. And you can see here we've grown rapidly. We support nearly 3,000 colleges and schools, and that's over 150,000 classrooms, supporting a large number of teachers and students, and the whole idea of Vivi is untether the teacher from the front of the class and be able to move around, as well as sharing important information and emergency alerts. So just a few colleges and schools that we're working with already. They might be close to you guys, but we know that everybody is so different in what they do, and that's the whole part of working with us and your subscription. We make sure everything's tailored to fit what your needs are, essentially. So there's 4 different pillars to Vivi. So along with the blue box, we also have an easy to use teacher app, and a background sort of IT management system that we call Vivi Central. So that's kind of the product. And then within here, we've got these great solutions where you can consolidate other solutions that you might have already. So one of the key areas of Vivi is our wireless screen mirroring. So we want you to walk into any classroom, any seminar room, whatever that looks like, if it's a beauty salon or a more traditional classroom setup, and be able to screen share from any device to any sort of front of classroom technology. Or even if you've got multiple screens, you're not in there trying to find the remote control for the projector, or plug in a HDMI or log on to a docking station. We're completely wireless, and that little blue box is essentially what's hiding behind your screens in the classroom. The other thing we do is digital signage. So especially in colleges, it's great when we go and visit. There's lots of digital signage, more so compared to schools. So actually, Vivi has got digital signage built in, so you can push out those important informations, reaffirm the culture, shout out to your great sort of academic achievements and what's going on in different areas, and really help promote those messages. And if you are a group of colleges as well, you can do that, from a sort of group level perspective and individually as well. So it's really nice to make sure that content's staying fresh, rather than just sort of walking past like a static poster on the walls. And we do emergency alerts as well. So it's not just fire evacuations these days that we seem to be experiencing. We're hearing a lot more about lockdown situations now, and different types of emergency alerts. So Vivi gives that visual aid to the alarms that you might have going off, and you can customize this in terms of, is it a lockdown? Is it an evacuation? Are we holding? Are we secure? And I'll show you a little bit more about what that looks like. And obviously, we've got a large presence in the US, and as you can imagine, a lot of the feature sets come from their guidance over there. And then we've got the announcements as well. So if it's not a big sort of emergency alert that's going to take over everything, but you do need to, Sophie, can you go and move your car? You're blocking somebody in, or don't forget to submit your UCAS submissions by this date, or anything like that. it will just give you a smaller announcement. And these can be a text-based announcement, or it could be a video broadcast to the whole college. You know, there's lots and lots more students these days, which is fantastic. And sometimes you might not actually have the space to put them all in one place to deliver any information. So you can send out broadcast videos as well. Okay. So I've just done a few slides based on some of our existing colleges and customers and what their benefits and what their journey with Vivi has been like. So Shooters Hill Sixth Form College down in Woolwich, they've been using Vivi for a while now and have really implemented and took on that whole consolidation approach. So they originally came to us for easy wireless screen sharing. You know, they wanted to get rid of the HDMI cables and just make it easy for teachers to join the room and share what they needed to do. But then they found that actually they had quite an expensive digital signage platform as well. So they managed to consolidate that into Vivi instead and just have a really easy to distribute sort of information, and the marketing team tend to look after that. And then also a key thing for them was the emergency alerts, making sure that the different groups, the different sites were aware there is an emergency and what are we meant to do in this situation? Are we in lockdown? Are we evacuating? And one of the quotes that they said to us, you know, 3 buttons and you're just sharing your screen. So it's really quick and easy to use. We've then got Bath College as well. So I'm actually down with the guys next week to make sure everything's all good and ready for September. And again, they just wanted a consistent and reliable solution. So when I first started speaking to their IT technician, I think he'd been there for 11 days. And he said, you know, we need to audit everything that's going on. We need something that's easy and reliable. You know, is Vivi that solution? So we've spent a good part of a year making sure he's, you know, where he needs to be, ready for Vivi to have that uniformity. You know, the main thing with Vivi is you don't have to go out and buy new hardware, new tech, anything like that. Vivi will just work with whatever you've got and give you that uniformity. So all your teachers, all your students can go into a classroom, and whether there is a projector or a monitor or an interactive board, you just connect to Vivi via the app and everyone's good to go really fast. So that was great for them, and they are going to utilise the digital signage and things as well, you know, as they kind of get this consistency in across the devices. And then the last one here is the East Kent College group. So again, you know, came to us for one thing in terms of Microsoft display adapters being discontinued, which was, you know, not great news, but sort of a good way for Vivi to, you know, be sort of more understood. And we do more than the adapters as well, which hopefully you'll see soon. And it was just being able to have those larger classroom setups where there's actually 4 or 5 screens in there for student work, being able to group all of those together, which is what East Kent Colleges really liked. I'll never forget as well, they tested our digital signage to consolidate that, and they had Rick Astley playing on loop and the Screaming Goats. So that one always stays with me, which is brilliant. And again, they have really taken this on with the emergency alerts, making sure that all the students, all the staff are aware of what's going on with that visual alert, because it does take over your device as well as any screens that are connected. Okay. So in terms of, rather than doing a live demo of Vivi, I'm more than happy to do that with everybody afterwards. There's just a few little videos here, so there's no sound on the videos, but basically this is how easy the digital signage is. You log into Vivi Central, choose how many display areas you want. Have you built a playlist? Are you going to use one of our widgets? Could be the weather, the news, and basically just choose the dates and times of when you want this to show. It's very nice and visual and easy to do. Choose where it's going to show. So this could be canteens, receptions, common areas, classrooms, and you can choose the dates and times as well. So you set all of that up, schedule the signage, and it's good to go. We also have power management built into the boxes. So as long as your TVs have got HDMI, CEC, power saving, you know, the cost of electricity, Vivi can wake your screens up at the start of the day and turn them off at the end of the day as well. So you've not just got screens on when nobody's there to see them. Okay. So just a couple of images of what this might look like. In hallways and corridors, you might want the time so everybody gets to class on time, and different events and things that you've got upcoming. You know, it might be that you've got a beauty show or something like that. So all this information can be shared. If you've got an external catering team as well, give them a login, just lock them down to be able to update the menus. I know I live in Burton-on-Trent, so Burton College have got an amazing canteen area where you can actually go and have a meal. So, you know, the students could actually promote what they're serving on there as well, which is really nice. And then we go to the emergencies. So Vivi can give you consistent, clear communication quickly. So actually, sometimes the unexpected happens. You might have an intruder or something happen, you know, in the college. And Vivi can work on any device. So chances are, you know, you're not going to be at that reception area to, you know, trigger an emergency. You might want Vivi installed on your phone, on any device, trigger the emergency, choose where this is going to show and what information. So these are our stock images, but you can obviously put your fire evacuation plan, your lockdown messaging on here. And then what Vivi will do is push this into all the different rooms with the right message. So everybody's got clear information of what should be happening and where. You can allocate who can authorise emergencies and things like that as well. Okay, so these are just sort of a few ideas of the images that you might want to share. Okay, so they can all be personalised. If you do have an entry system like Entry Sign, we integrate with those, which is amazing. So if you trigger an emergency in Entry Sign, Vivi will trigger as well. Also, if you have like a door system like Paxton Pro, we can link with an API key. So again, that consolidation and streamlining things is really good. Okay. So classroom engagement. So you can see here we've got a classroom. It's got a couple of screens built in. And as a teacher, you don't want to be stood at the front with your back towards your students. And the nice thing about Vivi is you can display your problem, task, whatever you want to do on the board. And this is how easy it is with Vivi. You just simply press share screen on our app. And you can also resume and pause the page. So I'm not great with multiple screens, so I like the pause function. It basically gives you your device back, you know, while students are looking at the screen. It might be you need to reply to an email or set up the next task. And this extra toolbar gives you that. So rather than just a HDMI, you know, sharing absolutely everything, Vivi gives you some nice extra features. You can annotate from anywhere in the room, use a timer, and so on. Okay. The other thing we do is multi-display. So actually, if you do have multiple screens in the room, this is the Vivi app and you can share the screen to, you know, the same thing on all the screens, or actually you might have different devices where you want to show different information. And part of Vivi is you can give the student control. So if you've got bring your own devices, doesn't matter whether they've got an iPad, a laptop, a MacBook, Vivi will allow a stripped back version, which is all safe and secure. So your students can't just throw anything up on the screen. You know, we've heard some interesting stories over time of that happening with consumer devices and home devices. Vivi's all safe and secure, and you can see what they're trying to share, take it down at any time, and you know, share to different areas, which is really useful. Okay. So the next thing we do is play content. So this is a different way to share your screen. And you'll notice here that we integrate with ClickView, which I'm sure lots of you are using. And this is a great way as well to use your BLC content. So if you've got your videos or anything like that, put them into play content, build a nice playlist, put your PowerPoints, your images and everything in there as well. And it will only play on the monitor, you know, or the projector or whatever you've got in class. So rather than you having to sacrifice your device for the next 6 minutes while you watch a video that you've probably seen 10 times over, you know, you can be doing your emails, responding to information, setting the next task up while Vivi just plays on the screen behind you. So just a really quick sort of overview of what that looks like. And what this is going to show you as well, if you do use a YouTube video, you can see here you get all the annoying adverts. They're in the middle and everything now as well. If you grab that YouTube link, add it to play content, it will strip out all of the ads. So it caches down onto the little blue box. You've not got to worry about the adverts. You've not got to worry about all the distracting things that YouTube gives. And again, this can be any of your BLC videos, and you will also have a little click view icon in there to access all of the information in there, which is really handy as well. So just bringing those things together. And I know I spoke to Michael at ClickView before. He said if anybody's got Vivi already and ClickView, let us know and we can help you to link those across if you've already got both. Okay. So in terms of sort of effortless classroom management as well, you can build playlists. So I'm quite an organized person. I like everything as it should be. So I really like play content that I can have it all set up and ready to use beforehand. Whereas if you just want to press share screen and do it the other way, you can. So Vivi's got some nice options based on how we all work differently. Okay. Another section here is your student share. So it's really good to get the students involved and engaged. And actually, if they are sat there with their own device, they can then, share to the screen. Not everybody likes to go and stand at the front and then you're fiddling with cables or whatever else. So with Vivi, they can request to share or you can ask them to share. And what that will do is put their screen onto the main board. The nice thing about Vivi as well, you can split this into different quadrants. So actually you could leave the equation or whatever it is in the top corner, and then you could have 3 students sharing their information at the same time, starting a discussion, seeing the differences, with the outcomes as well, which is really nice. Okay, so the other thing, it isn't live just yet. It's going to be here in about a week. If you do have any visually impaired learners or you've got quite large rooms and workshops, Vivi will now go the other way. So rather than it always just be an educator's device, to the main screen, if they are logged in on Vivi on their device, you can project your slides or whatever you're sharing to their device as well. So they're not trying to strain and see what's going on at the front or elsewhere. It doesn't do audio because then obviously you've got lots of different things, but that visual will be there for them to use that they can screenshot and annotate and work more closely with, which I think is really nice. Okay, so all of our feedback and updates, we are purely education. What teachers want from around the world, that's what we build into Vivi. We're not bothered about sort of the corporate world necessarily and trying to shoehorn into education. We are solely focused on education for teachers and students. Okay, so this is just a little idea of your split screen overview. Okay, so I've whizzed through because I appreciate it's been a long morning for everybody and sort of last up, but we do free trials. So if you are thinking that any of this might be relevant, but you're not quite sure, you'd have to speak to IT or what would it be like in real life, we offer free trials. We set you up, support you throughout the whole time. And if you like Vivi, great. And then if not, you just send the units back if it's not quite for you. So feel free to be in touch and we can get those set up over the summer. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Sophie. That was wonderful. What a brilliant system and product you've got there. I think, for me, being an ex-teacher, I can really see the advantages of that in the classroom and yeah, having that protection with a student to be able to share their own devices is certainly needed. So we've all dropped balls there. So I think that's fantastic. And like you said, be really good for our members to get some trials and some access with that. And we'll make sure that we put the details. I think Kirsty's just popped it in the chat as well, and we'll share that with through our comms as well. And promote that as much as we can. So really value your time. Thank you, Sophie. That was a wonderful presentation. Thanks very much. One question though, Sophie, if you don't mind, before we go, from Heather, she's asked about, do the student devices need to be on the same Wi-Fi network?
So yes, they do. However, we appreciate you have very likely got a separate student network to the teacher one. So that's where Ben, our amazing engineer that again has worked as a teacher as well, he's come to the dark side with us, but yes, he can help you open ports and open VLAN, so you've still got that security, but you can ensure that the students are on there and able to connect with Vivi as well.
Fabulous, thank you. And I assume that'll be guided if you want to go through trials and stuff like
100%.
that. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. So all our support, training, firmware updates is all included, whether you're on trial or a customer with us. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Sophie. That's wonderful. Thank you very much for your time.